Exposed. Black woman told to leave Millionaire'S wedding. Then her amazing fleet arrived outside. Aisha stood at the grand entrance of the opulent wedding venue. The air thick with the scent of luxury and designer perfumes. She felt every prosperous gaze piercing through her simple yet elegant outfit. A stark contrast to the shimmering gowns and tailored suits swarming around her. Her heart pounded like a drum, a cacophony of hope and fear clamoring for attention. Today was supposed to be a day of reunion. Yet she felt more like an intruder stepping into a foreign world as she gazed at the lavish decorations a world away from her neighborhood. "Here goes nothing," she muttered to herself, gathering the strength of her mother's love instilled in her heart deep down. With each breath, she reminded herself of the bond with her estranged sister, Gabriella, a bond forged in childhood and shattered by the cruel divisions of life. As Aisha approached the microphone, she could already see Gabriella in her radiant wedding dress, glowing and caught up in the whirlwind of wealth. "Gabriella," she cried out, her voice shaking yet strong, determined to bridge the chasm they'd allowed to grow. "I love you. I want us to be part of each other's lives again." Just as Aisha's emotions began to spill forth, her words were cut off by the snooty wedding planner, adorned with judgment and disdain. "You need to leave," she spat, her tone dripping with superiority, as if she held the keys to a kingdom Aisha could never enter. "This isn't for your kind." Aisha's heart sank, tears brimming in her eyes. The bitter sting of rejection seeped into her soul, reminding her yet again of the class divide mauling her family. She felt her dreams of sisterly love slip away as she stepped outside, her heartbeat the only soundtrack to her defeat. But just as despair threatened to take hold, a familiar sound pulled her back to life. Engines roared to life, growing louder until the creak of her old, beat-up car echoed through the air. Aisha's friends, her community, arrived in a colorful convoy of proud, custom vehicles. Jamal's flashy ride and Mrs. Johnson's minivan, draped with ribbons and laughter, painted a vibrant picture of love and support. They had come to remind Aisha of the wealth she had always carried within her, a wealth defined by community, resilience, and heart. As they gathered around her, cheers erupted, a stark contrast to the silence that once poured over her like a shadow. The guests inside the venue began to murmur, witnessing Aisha's fierce spirit avowing the endless support of family beyond riches. A wave of strength surged as she remembered the sweet treats her small bakery brought to their block parties, moments of shared joy that outshone the glimmering wedding she was now locked out of. Then she saw Gabriella through the grand glass doors, a mixture of confusion and concern etched onto her sister's face. This was the moment. Would Gabriella step away from the glitz and embrace the love they had once shared? Or would the walls of social status erode their bond forever? Aisha couldn't tear her eyes away, hope battling against the despair that threatened to pull her into the depths of defeat. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The moment stretched infinitely as the tension rose, Aisha's heart thumping in rhythm with the cheers outside. Would her sister's heart open or close to her? The crowd's collective breath hung in the air, creating a palpable tension born from unity and love, waiting for Gabriella's next move. Aisha felt the world revolving on this precarious moment, searching for answers hidden deep inside their familial ties. What would Gabriella choose? Aisha's heart raced as she caught sight of Gabriella's face framed by the opulent decor, her wedding gown gleaming under the chandeliers. The sound of laughter faded away, replaced by the drumbeat of her own anxiety and anticipation. She reached out, urging her sister to recognize the lifelong bond they once shared, hoping it was still buried beneath layers of wealth and resentment. "Gabriella," she whispered, as if her voice could cut through the golden veneer wrapping the luxurious venue. For a heartbeat, their eyes locked. Aisha could see the flicker of uncertainty cross Gabriella's features, mingled with shock. The world around them blurred, the merriment of guests inside fading into a distant echo, as if only the sisters existed in that moment. Gabriella looked torn, caught between the vows she was about to make and the sister she had left behind. Then, a hand on Aisha's shoulder broke her gaze. It was Jamal, his expressive eyes filled with empathy and encouragement. "Whatever happens, we're right here with you," he said softly, giving her a comforting squeeze. His words warmed her like the late afternoon sun breaking through clouds. Emboldened by her friends, Aisha took a step forward, breaking through the barrier of faintly closing doors. "I know you can hear me, Gabriella. I want you to know that I never stopped loving you. We had our dreams, our laughter, and our secrets together. How can we let that go?" The wedding planner emerged, her presence like a storm cloud, perhaps sensing the tension behind her borrowed opulence. "This is not a place for disruptions," she interjected sharply. "You need to leave now." Aisha met her gaze, determination boiling within her. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to heal a wound that's festered for too long." The words flew out, raw and authentic, igniting a ripple of murmurs among the onlookers. Then Aisha called again for her sister, louder this time, her voice both a plea and a declaration. "We are still sisters. Whatever life has taken us through, you matter to me. I've missed you." A subtle inching out of Gabriella toward the door sent a wave of hope crashing through Aisha. Just when she felt a spark reignite, Gabriella hesitated, glancing back into the exquisite hall where her fiancé and guests awaited. The glittering world of wealth seemed to hold her captive. Aisha's heartbeat synchronized with the cheers of her supporters outside, who rallied to lift her spirits. They held banners, proudly declaring their love and respect, highlighting their collective dreams that flourished beyond wealth. The bold colors of their signs painted a stark contrast to the muted luxury inside, a reminder of a different kind of richness, a wealth of connection. Finally, Gabriella stepped forward slightly, her hand trembling as she gripped the doorknob. "Aisha, I don't know if I should choose love." Aisha interrupted gently, tears glimmering in her eyes. "Choose family. That's what matters in the end." Again silence fell, but this time it felt different. The weight of expectation hung heavy, split between the gilded fantasies waiting inside and the raw truth of sisterhood outside. A flicker of resolve shone in Gabriella's eyes. Would she step into her past, reclaiming a relationship that had dulled over time? Or was the veil of wealth too thick to penetrate? As everyone around them held their breath, Aisha felt the future hinge on this singular moment. The world awaited, ready to see if love would triumph over layers of luxury. But as she stood there, hope igniting within her, what would the next choice be for both of them? The air was heavy with unspoken words, and all eyes were on Gabriella. Aisha's heart raced as she stood there, emotions swirling like a storm inside her. The vibrant banners outside flapped in the breeze, a fierce contrast to the hushed tension inside the hall. Each color symbolized hope for a reunion, hope for understanding. "Aisha," Gabriella said softly, her voice cracking. The doorknob rattled in her grip, but she didn't let go. "I've missed you too." Those words hit Aisha like a wave crashing against the shore. "Then come back to me. Come back to us," she pleaded, the rawness of her voice piercing through the silence. "This wedding, it feels wrong without you in my life. You know our bond is stronger than anything else." The wedding planner, who had watched the exchange with a mix of discomfort and confusion, shifted her weight. "We can continue this later," she insisted, her tone sharper now. "It's not appropriate to disrupt. Some people are waiting." But Aisha and Gabriella weren't just some people. They were sisters, each holding pieces of the other's heart. Aisha stepped closer, a fierce determination building within her. "Gabriella, you deserve to be happy, truly happy. Is this?" She gestured to the opulent hall filled with clinking glasses and false smiles. "Is this the happiness you want?" Gabriella seemed lost, her eyes darting between Aisha and the doors leading back to her guests. A tug-of-war of feelings pulled at her. Every moment stretched, a tender eternity rife with memories of laughter shared during childhood. The late-night talks that had kept them both grounded. The guests might have seemed beautiful in their tailor-made suits and flowing gowns, but they paled in comparison to the richness of sisterhood. She felt the weight of the diamond ring resting heavily on her finger, a material symbol for a bond she feared might be built on sand. Why did it have to be like this? Gabriella whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. Why did we drift apart when we had everything to hold on to? Because sometimes, Aisha said, voice firm yet gentle, we let life's circumstances pull us away from what matters the most. But we can change that. We can find a way back. Gabriella's grip on the doorknob loosened. Aisha noticed the subtle shift, a flicker of defiance igniting in her sister's eyes. What if I'm torn? Gabriella confessed. What if I choose wrong again? You won't be alone, Jamal added from behind Aisha, his voice a beacon of support. Love shouldn't feel like a choice between two worlds. It should be a bridge that connects them. Gabriella took a deep breath, glancing back toward the exquisite hall. Pieces of her past tugged at her like a weight, while the warmth of her sister's love beckoned with a promise of renewal. A choice loomed before her. It could reshape everything. That was when the doors swung open, revealing a spectacle outside. Aisha turned, eyes widening as a fleet of elegant black cars rolled up to the entrance. The engines purred as they came to a stop, polished chrome shining under the afternoon sun. Is that? Gabriella stuttered, her heart racing in a different way now. A surprise for you both. A voice called from outside, drawing everyone's attention. It was their father, his broad shoulders casting a long shadow. I realized it's time to celebrate not just wealth but the beauty of family. Aisha felt the joy spread through her like wildfire. This was an unforeseen twist to their long-neglected bond. Would Gabriella step away from the confines of expectation and embrace love, both old and new? As she turned back to face her sister, Aisha's breath caught. The choice had shifted. Now everyone was watching, waiting, and she could feel the electricity of possibility crackling in the air. What would happen next? Would Gabriella seize this chance to reclaim her sisterhood? Or was she still tethered to the life she thought she wanted? The tension hung precariously in the air, leaving a question poised for the next moment. Gabriella's heart thudded in her chest as the black cars loomed like sentinels outside the hall. Was this really for her? A part of her trembling with uncertainty, but another part pulsed with the thrill of possibility. The guests stirred, curious, whispering amongst themselves. Maybe it's a sign, Aisha urged, her voice a blend of hope and fervor. Maybe he's trying to show you what truly matters. Family. Gabriella felt a surge of warmth at her sister's words. Yet the conflict raged within her. Should she walk back to a life carved by expectations, or step boldly into a new chapter where she could craft her own destiny? Each choice carried a weight she could feel pushing down on her shoulders. Her father moved closer with a proud smile, his presence commanding attention. I wanted to remind you both that family is what matters most. Not the fancy halls or the diamonds, he declared, an earnestness shining in his eyes. From behind, Jamal stepped up, his presence steady and reassuring. You've always known what you want, Gabby. Remember who you are. All of you. Don't let anyone take that away. The intensity of their gazes coalesced into a moment filled with unspoken promises. Gabriella turned back to the hall, where laughter and chatter resumed, a striking juxtaposition to the emotional storm swirling within her. Do you see that? She said, motioning toward the crowd. They expect a picture-perfect wedding. But is that who I am? Her father's expression softened. It's not about perfection, love. It's about the people you surround yourself with. Your happiness matters more than the spectacle. With each passing second, the weight lifted just a bit as her father's words settled like warmth in the pit of her stomach. But as her eyes landed on the exquisite guests, trembling doubts rose like waves threatening to drown her resolve. What will they think if I choose not to go through with it? She murmured, the fear of judgment clawing at her insides. Let them think, Aisha interjected, her voice fierce and unwavering. This is your life, your happiness. You need to live it for yourself, not for them. Gabriella felt an electric rush, fueled by the bond she shared with Aisha. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, she knew they were united. But now, she needed to choose embrace the potential of love and family or retreat back into the safety of obligation. With resolute, steely determination, she cast a glance toward the cars again. Inside those vehicles, freedom was waiting, a promise of everything she longed for. She took a deep breath, swallowing down her fear. "Let us go outside," Gabriella said finally, her voice clearer than before. "Let us see what this is all about." Her heart raced, anticipation mingling with dread. She swept past the wedding planner, who looked as if she'd just seen a ghost, and moved towards the doors, Aisha by her side. Together, they stepped into the sunlight. Outside, everything felt brighter, charged with possibility. The cars stood pristine, as if forged from dreams themselves. Her father followed closely, an encouraging presence amid the uncertainty. "Gabriella," he called, his voice steady. "Remember, whatever you choose will stand with you. Always." She felt her pulse quicken, the warmth of possibility flooding her. But just as she was about to reach for the door of the nearest car, a shadow fell over them, eclipsing the sun. A figure emerged from the crowd, and silence cascaded around them like the calm before a storm. "Stop! This wedding can't go on without me." Gabriella's heart plummeted. Who was this? Panic surged as she tried to make sense of it all. What now? Who else had a claim to this moment? A choice loomed once more, but this time, it felt like it might just shatter everything. What unexpected twist would change the course of her decision once again? Gabriella's breath caught in her throat as she turned to face the newcomer. Tall and imposing, the woman stood confidently amid the gathered crowd, her eyes fierce and unwavering. A sinking feeling tightened in Gabriella's chest. Who was this woman, and why did her sudden presence feel like a thunderclap in the air? "Who are you?" Gabriella's voice trembled slightly, veiling the urgency of her curiosity with a thin layer of defiance. The crowd buzzed, a wave of whispers rising like smoke. Gabriella's focus sharpened on the woman, willing the answers to unravel in the silence that fell over them. "I'm Linnea," the woman replied, her voice steady, "and I'm here to claim what's rightfully mine." "What could you want here?" Aisha stepped forward, protective, her hands clenched at her sides. Linnea took a step closer, and the sunlight glinted off a silver necklace that hung around her neck like a badge of honor. "I was promised this wedding, Gabriella, and I won't let it happen without me." Gabriella felt a wave of dread wash over her. Promised? Where did that leave her? Had she been blind to the truth all this time? As doubts raged within her, she instinctively glanced back at her father, expecting him to step in, to deflect this sudden chaos. But he stood frozen, shock widening his eyes, uncertainty etching his brow. "Gabriella, think about this," Aisha urged, her tone filled with urgency. "This is your moment. Don't let someone else twist your fate." But Linnea's presence felt electric. Gabriella recognized something in the determination of this newcomer, a shared longing for love, validation. For a brief moment, their eyes locked, and Gabriella could sense the storm brewing in Linnea's heart, mirroring her own turmoil. "Why now?" Gabriella finally asked, the quiet defiance bubbling to the surface. "Why not before? Life doesn't always wait for the right moment." Linnea's lips curled into a small, knowing smile. "Took me time to realize what I truly wanted. Now I have to fight for it." Gabriella's heart raced, a wild blend of desperation and understanding. Was this woman not so different from her? Choosing to pursue a love denied, risking everything to reclaim what she felt was hers? Doesn't that make us both fighting for the same thing? Gabriella's voice broke the tension, challenging the expectations that had always loomed over her. A fleeting thought crossed her mind. What if there was room for both of them on this stage? "Everyone deserves a chance at happiness," Linnea said earnestly. "I'm not here to harm you, Gabriella. I'm here because until now I didn't have the courage." The clarity in Linnea's voice swept away some of Gabriella's doubts. In this unexpected confrontation, she recognized a moment of authenticity amidst chaos. But now the stakes had soared into the stratosphere, and with each second that ticked by, she felt both women facing the same unseen wall, the expectation of a perfect wedding. "Gabriella, what will you do?" Aisha's voice cut through her thoughts, laden with urgency and love. She glanced at her sister, then back to Linnea, who stood resolute yet vulnerable. In that charged moment, Gabriella felt the ground shift beneath her feet. "What if we both claim this moment?" she offered, her voice steadying with newfound resolve. "What if I choose to confront this wedding in a way that honors both our paths?" Gasps rippled through the crowd, and the weight of her words hung precariously in the air. Could that even be possible? But as Gabriella stepped toward Linnea, ready to forge an unexpected alliance, a distant commotion erupted, drawing everyone's attention. The crowd parted, and another figure emerged, one that would change everything yet again. "Wait, you don't know the whole truth," a man shouted, rushing towards them, eyes wild with urgency. Gabriella's heart sank as she turned, wondering what else could possibly unravel in the fateful twists of the day. Who was this, and what new revelation might he bring to light? Gabriella's heart raced, and her mind spun as the man charged forward. His hair was disheveled, and anxiety radiated off him like heat from a lamp. The crowd hushed, eyes darting from Linnea to the newcomer, a tall stranger whose dark skin contrasted sharply against the white wedding attire that enveloped Gabriella like a second skin. "Who are you?" Linnea demanded, crossing her arms and scanning his face for answers. The man took a breath, visibly trying to compose himself. "My name is Malik," he said, his voice rough but determined. "And I need to speak to you, Gabriella. It's important about your wedding." Gabriella felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you know about it?" she asked, fighting to keep the wobble out of her voice. Malik took a step closer, urgency in his eyes. "I know things about your fiancé, things you need to hear." The way he looked at her made Gabriella feel exposed, as if she were carrying all her secrets on her sleeve. "What do you mean?" Aisha interjected, stepping protectively in front of her sister. "You're not making any sense. I wouldn't be here if it weren't crucial." Malik's gaze shifted to Linnea. "And you don't know what you're getting into either." "What do we not know?" Linnea demanded, her fierce demeanor unyielding. Malik took a deep breath, his moment of vulnerability cut through the tension. "Do you both want to know the truth about why you're here today?" He looked directly at Gabriella. "Your fiancé isn't who you think he is." Gabriella felt like the ground had shifted beneath her, destabilizing her certainty. "You don't know him like I do," she protested, clenching her fists. Memories of sweet moments and whispered promises flashed in her mind, but echoing those were a growing disillusionment she could no longer ignore. "Then let me show you," Malik pressed. "The wedding isn't what it seems." The crowd was still, all eyes fixed on the unfolding drama, waiting for answers. In some hidden corner, a sense of magnetism swirled among them, an overwhelming desire to uncover the truth. "Why should we trust you?" Linnea took a step closer to Gabriella, as if sharing that moment of doubt and uncertainty. "Because I have proof. I didn't just walk into this situation for nothing." Malik produced a smartphone from his pocket. The screen lit up to reveal a video that made the murmurs in the crowd rise again. "What is that?" Aisha leaned in, peering cautiously over Gabriella's shoulder. "It's footage. It captures moments I wish I didn't have to show you. But you deserve to know," Malik said, his voice steady but laced with regret as he tapped the screen. The crowd leaned closer, straining to see. A series of images flashed before Gabriella's eyes, her fiancé with another woman, laughing, sharing intimate secrets under a moonlit balcony. Anger mixed with confusion, a knot forming in her stomach as disbelief gripped her. Tears pooled in her eyes as she tore her gaze away. No, the words slipped from her lips, barely audible. "I'm sorry, Gabriella," Malik said softly, "but you need to see this." The tension in the air crackled as Gabriella stood frozen. She felt as if she were standing at the edge of a cliff, teetering on the brink of a revelation that might change everything. Linnea's fierce determination faltered, replaced by sympathy and understanding. "Gabriella?" Aisha whispered, an edge of heartache in her voice. You don't have to decide right now. We can face this together. Gabriella took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her choices pressing down upon her. Could she really confront her fiancé? Did she have the strength to unravel this tangled web of emotions? In an unexpected moment of clarity, she thought of all the love she'd poured into this day, and now, it all felt like sand slipping through her fingers. Show me. Her voice was quiet but resolute. Show me everything. As Malik nodded, Gabriella braced herself for the truth that would shape her future. With the crowd holding its breath, everything felt suspended in time. But just as the video began to play, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Panic fluttered through the crowd. What now? Gabriella looked from Malik's determined gaze to Linnea's intense expression. What was about to unfold threatened not just her wedding, but everything she thought she held dear. Who would arrive, and what would they bring to this already chaotic day? The crowd shifted uneasily, whispering among themselves, casting bewildered glances at the skyline above as the sirens crescendoed. The mood hung thick with anxiety, the bright wedding decorations now seeming gaudy under the weight of uncertainty. Gabriella felt a surge of adrenaline, pushing her heart even faster. What are they doing here? Aisha muttered, instinctively clutching Gabriella's arm as if a storm was brewing. Malik clenched his jaw, his focus unwavering. I don't know, but we need to keep going or we'll lose our chance, he urged, eyes darting toward the entrance. The urgency in his tone struck a deeper chord within Gabriella. Whatever truth you're about to show me, she said, voice steady with newfound resolve. It can't be worse than living a lie. Before Malik could respond, the crowd exploded into voices as uniformed officers appeared, storming the venue with authority. Everyone, please, remain calm, one officer shouted, scanning the group as if looking for someone specific. Gabriella's pulse raced. Loss hovered near her thoughts, and the mounting pressure felt like the world spiraling. Yet amid the chaos she wanted clarity. Gripping her resolve tighter, she turned back to Malik. Let us see it now. He brought the phone closer, the screen illuminating his face against the backdrop of chaos. The video flickered to life, and Gabriella's eyes widened as the images of her fiancé played out in real time, revealing not just moments of betrayal but conversations that felt like daggers to her heart. There he was, laughing with another woman, not just a passing acquaintance, but someone who seemed to hold his gaze with a familiarity she had thought was hers alone. I can't believe he would, she faltered, her voice shaky, but Malik's intense look urged her on. Finish it, he prompted gently. Understand who he really is. The video continued, showing her fiancé planning a getaway, mentioning how easily he could slip away from everyone with his charm, and a careless mention of how much money had been invested in their relationship. The dagger twisted deeper as Gabriella felt layers of illusion peel away. She had chosen this path, but under its glossy surface lay layers of deceit. The sirens outside emphasized the moment, a harsh reminder that time was slipping rapidly away. Aisha's grip on Gabriella tightened, her gaze darting to the officers who seemed on the hunt. Gab, this isn't just about him anymore. They're here for something big. We need to talk. Talk about what? Gabriella snapped, feeling a mix of frustration and disbelief. About how he's been lying to me this entire time. Doesn't anyone see this? Listen. Malik's voice cut through their rising panic. There's more. It's not just a matter of betrayal in love, it's about safety. You're in danger if you don't act fast. Suddenly, a glimmer of recognition sparked in Aisha's eyes. What do you mean, danger? Before Malik could answer, the officer stepped closer, scanning the crowd as they began to recognize signs of tension sparking in whispers. Is there anyone here who knows this man? The officer pointed towards the entrance where a figure lingered in the shadows, observing, and the crowd gasped collectively. Gabriella braced herself, shifting her gaze toward the silhouetted man as realization clawed through her. Was it him? The one who had orchestrated everything from behind the scenes? The one leading the charge against her? Gabriella, we can't wait. We need to move now, Malik urged, grabbing her hand. Her heart raced even faster as she looked between her sister, Malik, and the mysterious figure. With one last glance at the chaos of her wedding-turned nightmare, she knew she faced a pivotal crossroads. Should she confront the shadows of her past or escape into the unknown? "Where do we go?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper but filled with a fierce determination. And suddenly it hit her. The answer lay in a flicker of courage buried deep within. Nothing would remain the same again. As they prepared to move, the unknown figure stepped fully into the light, a familiar face casting a long shadow over Gabriella's reality. "Gabriella?" His voice was smooth, but it was laced with something darker. "We need to talk." What awaited her as the lines of truth and deceit blurred? Gabriella's heart raced as she recognized the voice that pierced through the chaos. It felt like an electric shock, jolting her back to a reality she thought she had escaped. Standing in the light was Caleb, the enigmatic figure from her past. The man who had been her first love, a love that never truly faded, even after their abrupt separation. "What do you want?" Her voice trembled, sounding both fierce and fragile at once. She didn't want to feel anything for him, not now. Not when betrayal churned inside her like an unforgiving storm. Caleb stepped forward, his gaze darting around the room before settling back on Gabriella. "You need to listen to me. They're here for more than just your fiancé. Don't act like you care." Aisha snapped, still gripping Gabriella's arm, protective and wary. "You disappeared once. Don't think you can just waltz back in with your smooth words." "Please, Aisha," Caleb pleaded, his eyes flashing. "We don't have time for this. If we want to get out safely, we need to move now." It's not just about Gabriella. They are after a lot more than just a wedding crash. The officers gathered their bearings, pushing the crowd into uneasy silence as whispers turned into panicked murmurs. Malik's face tightened with suspicion, his expression a blend of frustration and urgency. "What do you mean, after more? What exactly is going on here?" Gabriella felt a strange tug in her chest. She wanted to trust Malik, but Caleb's presence opened a floodgate of memories, moments filled with laughter, dreams, and the unrelenting scar of a love that felt unfinished. Could he provide answers that Malik couldn't? Caleb took a step back, sensing the shift in her demeanor. "It's complicated," he said softly, "but trust me, you don't want to get caught up in this. The people outside don't care about your wedding. They care about those who crossed them. Your fiancé. He has connections, bad connections." Gabriella shook her head, trying to process the weight of his words. "You mean he's involved in something illegal? Something dangerous?" "It's bigger than you think," Caleb urged, cutting through the noise of the crowd. "He has gotten mixed up with people who don't play by the rules. You have to come with me now. Your life could be at stake." Aisha's grip loosened, and Gabriella could see her sister wavering, caught between distrust for Caleb and concern for Gabriella's safety. Malik fell silent, weighing his thoughts as he glanced between them. Would this man, the one who had left so many questions in his wake, truly offer a way out? "Why should we trust you?" Malik stepped in, confrontation tightening the air. "What if this is all just a setup? You could be working with them." "I'd rather die than see Gabriella hurt again," Caleb retorted, voice thick with emotion. "I know I messed up before, but I swear to you this isn't what it seems." Gabriella felt torn apart. The doubts echoed in her mind. "How do I know you're telling me the truth? How do I know this isn't another betrayal?" "Because," Caleb's voice softened, "some truths are worth fighting for. This one's for your future. And I care too much to let you walk into a trap." An urgency clung to the air. The sirens outside grew louder, an impending storm that mirrored her heart. Would she risk everything to trust a voice from her past? As the officers began moving closer, searching the faces in the crowd, Gabriella felt the weight of a decision pressing against her chest. "Caleb," she breathed, glancing back at Aisha and Malik, who seemed to hold their breath along with her. "What will it be?" he asked, the light shifting in his eyes, bringing both hope and fear. Just then, a group of officers surged toward them, eyes narrowed and hearts set on a mission. "Time's up. Make your choice." The fabric of her reality began to unravel, pulling her deeper into uncertainty. Would she take the leap and choose Caleb? Or was she stepping right into another trap? Faced with danger, ambiguity, and a love that complicated everything, Gabriella took a deep breath, ready to make a choice that would change everything. But with the officers closing in, she had to act fast. What awaited her when she took the leap? Gabriella's heart thundered in her chest, drowning out the frantic murmurs around her. She didn't know how much time she had, but it felt like a thin thread, ready to snap. Go with him, Aisha urged, her grip finally breaking free as she glanced pleadingly at her sister. I don't trust him, but I trust you, Gabriella whispered, caught between the fervent voices in her head. Memories flickered Caleb's laughter, the warmth of stolen kisses, promises of forever. But then came the memories laced with regret, the pain of abandonment etched deeply in her heart. Could she really see him as a savior again? Now, Caleb's voice was sharp, urgency igniting his words. The officers were closing in, and the crowd was being pushed further back. An air of panic filled the hall. It felt electrified, pulsating with tension. Car outside. It's ready. He motioned towards a narrow exit behind him, barely visible above the panic. We can't waste a second longer. Hold on. Malik interjected, eyes narrowing. I'm coming with you. If anything goes wrong, no. Aisha's voice rose, slicing through the chaos. This is crazy. We can't just run blindly. The reality of the situation bore down on Gabriella. Malik's concern anchored her while Caleb represented the chaos of the past and the hope of escape. What if it's all a mistake? She murmured, half to herself, half to Caleb. Then at least you'll have a chance, he replied, desperation etching every line of his face. They're coming for more than just Malik. And just like that, a fracture of understanding hit her. Among her fears, deep down, was a primal instinct for survival. Let us go. Gabriella breathed, decision hardening like steel. Aisha stared at her, disbelief flashing across her face. Gabriella, wait, but she was moving, and the light from outside beckoned like a lifeline. The crowd parted as Gabriella squeezed through, and she felt Aisha's reluctant hand squeeze hers for reassurance. Trust me, we'll figure this out. Gabriella shot back, although she wasn't entirely convinced herself. Caleb was a few steps ahead, urgency flowing through him as he led the way, glancing back nervously while keeping his pace. The officers were now a few feet away, their eyes darting to the crowd, tracking movement. The air outside was thick with tension. The moment they crossed the threshold, Gabriella felt the world shift. Bright lights flashed and the shouting from inside was a muffled roar. And there it was. A sleek black car idled at the curb, its dark windows reflecting the chaos behind them. Get in, Caleb commanded. Aisha hesitated, her eyes darting to Malik. What about him? Before Gabriella could even respond, Malik caught up to them, determination set on his face. I'm not letting you leave without me. The decision made, they all piled into the car, hearts pounding, breaths short. The door slammed shut, sealing them in. For a heartbeat, there was silence, tangible and heavy. Drive, Caleb yelled, urgency pushing each word as the driver shifted into gear without question as they sped away. The buildings blurred past them, their shadows swallowed by the fleeting night. Gabriella sank back against the plush seat, her thoughts a jumble. Where are we going? She blurted, the weight of the situation crashing in. Somewhere safe, Caleb replied, his gaze fixed ahead, but the tension in his face spoke volumes. Safe? How? Malik interjected, voice laced with mistrust. And why should we trust you? Because Caleb paused, visibly wrestling with his thoughts. I owe you all the truth. This isn't just about your wedding or even your fiancé. It's deeper, darker, and you need to know everything. Gabriella held her breath, dread pooling in her stomach. The truth felt like a ticking time bomb, ready to explode. Tell us, Gabriella urged, pushing through her fear. We deserve to know. As Caleb opened his mouth to speak, the next words lingered on the tip of his tongue. But before he could reveal anything, a sharp turn in the road jolted the car, and shouts echoed from behind them. They're following us. The driver's foot pressed harder on the gas, the city lights racing by in a blur, urgency spiraling into chaos. Gabriella's heart raced. What awaited them was still shrouded in mystery, but one thing was now clear. They had stepped into something much larger than any of them had anticipated. And as she glanced at Caleb, a mixture of fear and longing coursed through her. Nothing about this night was as it seemed, and she was about to find out how deep the rabbit hole went. Would the truth set her free, or would it bind her in chains? The car sped away, weaving through the dimly lit streets, as the chaos of the wedding receded into a haunting memory. Gabriella's heart thrummed wildly against her chest, each beat echoing with the urgency of the moment. As they dashed into the uncertain night, she could feel the weight of their hastened breaths, mingled with anxiety and determination in the enclosed space. "What's going on, Caleb?" Aisha demanded, her voice sharp. "You need to tell us what we're dealing with." Caleb glanced back at them, his expression serious, a storm of emotions flickering through his eyes. "Your fiancé is tied to some dangerous people, Gabriella. He's involved in a racket that involves money laundering and illicit deals. He's not the man you think he is." The air thickened with shock. Disbelief washed over Gabriella. "But I can't believe he would do that. He's always been smooth and charming." Caleb's gaze hardened. "Those are just masks. I found out about it before we lost touch. That's why I left town. I thought I could keep you safe by staying away." "Safe?" she echoed, hurt flashing in her eyes. "By running away? You waited until my wedding to come back and warn me? Because I thought I was protecting you from afar. But I was wrong. I didn't want you tangled up in this," he answered, guilt steeped in his voice. Malik sighed heavily. "None of this changes the fact that we're still in danger. If they find out, they won't hesitate to come after you." Gabriella's mind raced. The weight of betrayal curled around her heart, gnawing at the edges of her thoughts. But beyond the betrayal, there was an undercurrent of truth in Caleb's words, a sense of reality crashing down around her, unveiling the veils she had chosen to ignore. "Where are we going?" she pressed, her voice shaking slightly as the car made another turn, narrowly missing another vehicle. "Somewhere we can regroup and devise a plan." Caleb's jaw set, his focus unwavering despite the urgency that clung to the moment. "We'll figure out how to expose him safely." Aisha gripped Gabriella's hand tightly, grounding her amidst the storm. "You're not in this alone, Gab. We'll figure this out together," she said, determination ringing in her voice. "They can't control you, none of them can," Malik added, reassurance spilling through his words. "You have your own life, your own power. We'll help you reclaim that." As the car sped onward, Gabriella's pulse began to steady. The love surrounding her was more than she had ever noticed before, real connections that transcended wealth or status. Caleb turned briefly to face them. "You have to trust me. I can lead us to a safe space where we can confront everything your fiancé. The truth. It ends tonight." The resolve solidified in Gabriella. Layers of uncertainty peeled away with each moment spent in their presence. "I'll do it. I'll confront him," she declared, her voice gaining strength. "And I'll reclaim my life." Aisha squeezed her hand again. "We're with you always." The car slowed as they approached a nondescript building nestled among the shadows. Caleb motioned for silence as they pulled up, scanning the surroundings cautiously. "This is it. Stick together." They piled out of the car, hearts heavy with apprehension but alive with purpose. The building loomed before them like a sentinel, obscuring the truths hiding within its walls. It felt raw and real in a way Gabriella hadn't experienced before. Stripped of the fake smiles and pretensions of the wedding, as they entered the dim interior, the chill was palpable. Caleb led them through a narrow corridor, and after several turns, they found themselves in a small room with sparse furnishings, just a table and chairs. Gabriella took a deep breath, trying to center herself. "Now what? How do we confront him?" "First, we need to gather information and plan how to bring it to light," Caleb replied, his demeanor shifted into business mode. "Then we'll draw him out and expose everything." The air was thick with tension. Silence punctuated their fears. Suddenly, there was a soft knock on the door, and all heads turned. "Who is?" Aisha called, apprehension flooding her voice. The door creaked open, revealing an unfamiliar face, an older man with a calm, collected demeanor. I heard about the situation. He stepped in, closing the door behind him with a sense of finality. You're in a precarious position, Gabriella, but there's a way out. She studied him closely, sensing his sincerity. Who are you? How can you help? I'm someone who deals with situations like this. Your fiancé's connections are deep, but the truth is a weapon, and I know how to wield it. Then tell me, Gabriella urged, her voice a mixture of fear and determination. He met her gaze, unwavering. We take away his power. We will make him face the truth, everything he has done, and let the stakes rise, until he has nowhere left to hide. With those words, the flicker of hope ignited like a flame in Gabriella's heart, the realization that she was stepping into her own power. A path laid before her, and she would gather the strength within herself and all around her to choose love over fear. As they began outlining their plan, Gabriella felt a sense of clarity crystallizing in her mind. She would not be a victim of circumstance but a protagonist of her own story. The darkness might loom, but she would stride forward, hand in hand with passion and purpose, to reclaim her future. United, they stepped closer together, forging a shield against the chaos waiting outside, their spirits interconnected like a tapestry of resilience. Let us do this, Gabriella declared. Together, they prepared to battle for truth and connection, ready to light the way toward liberation. And finally, with courage ignited in their hearts, they would overcome the chains of deceit, forge a new path bound by unity, and reclaim the joy of sisterhood that had been lost for far too long. The flicker of hope now burned brightly, a beacon guiding them into a new dawn. Now, it's your turn to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and uplift you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and show your support for this amazing journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation, because real friends lift each other up. Don't wait not even one more second. Show that you believe in these stories of courage and love.